Welcome to the Lost Rewatch as we come close to the end of season 5. Almost at season 3. I don't know why, but we're coming close to the end. We have What Happened, and Dead is Dead is Dead. The way my head's been
your brain has put you back.
That could be it. I never, because before we recorded, I said I've had a headache all day, can't get rid of it. So maybe it is. If you see me bleeding, just have Faraday come over and hold my hand, and I'll say, "I saw you before as I was a kid." Anyway,
I'm honestly surprised we haven't already seen the Face app with your face on it and Charlotte's actress now at this point. If anybody follows
no more
social, I'm surprised you haven't gotten to that scene yet.
I have some good ones I haven't used yet, but
thank you.
Like I said, I blame myself for Chris Evans accidentally exposing himself to the world.
Yeah, put your face on that.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll fit. Anyway, what? Wrong podcast. I apologize.
It's 1 minute and 12 seconds in, and we are completely off the rails.
God.
Anyway, we have the A team here, and we even have Dean Spanos here today. Actually, I'm just kidding. We have Brian's here today. Brian, first time here, first time on the podcast, or not podcast, the rewatch. How did you get into Lost?
I started watching Lost in season 1. A friend recommended it. Stuck with it. In the middle of it, I got into the Jay and Jack podcast, and that's where I started listening to you guys and been a follower and fan ever since. And I will say, Jack probably doesn't remember this, but in the middle of Lost, I went through a pretty gnarly personal situation, and the podcast actually helped me through that. And Lost helped me through that. It was, something to take my mind off what was going on in my personal life. And so this Lost always holds a dear place in my heart.
A lot of people have said that.
What's funny is I listen to a lot of podcasts, and you start to get it's not necessarily a one-sided relationship, but you feel like you're part of the conversation too. And you start getting to know these people more and more. And it's a comfort to be able to have those people there, year after year, day after day, hour after hour. You can always pop it on and listen to like old friends. So
absolutely. And Lost was on at the right time for me as well. Like just growing up, like late teens, early 20s. And it was just, there was nothing like it on TV. I was like consuming TV at the right age where I was like, could get it illegally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Me and Jack were both in our late teens, early 20s as well.
Yeah. Well, I figured, weren't we all? Yeah. We were all in our teens. No,
but I was close to retirement when Lost.
Wow. Yeah. No, I mean, but same here. I mean, Lost just taught me. I mean, just an ongoing character story like that, the way they could sustain that for years and years and still do flashbacks that felt like, seasons earlier and all that. And it comes down to a lot of things, but yeah, it just, I didn't know you could do that with storytelling before Lost. So that's right.
It is amazing. It's just, like I said, this rewatch has been a lot of fun for me because it's just, they're actually coming up with new theories. People, different guests and, just come up with different theories that you shouldn't be coming up with a TV show that's been off the air for 10 years.
Right.
I mean, it's still, especially a show like Lost that everybody picked apart.
But a lot of people would blame that on saying that they didn't answer questions. But they did answer questions, but they left us with ways to make connections and fill in the gaps ourselves.
I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I'm glad they did.
Oh, me too.
Well, I will say I watched the 2 episodes for this podcast or live rewatch recap. I watched the 2 episodes, and I hadn't watched Lost in a while, so I dove in on those 2 episodes, and before I knew it, I'd watched 4 episodes. It pulled me right back in, and I'd forgotten some of the stuff since it'd been a while, and I forgot how good it was, and now I'm like, damn it, do I go back and start over? And it was just really, really good TV, and particularly good TV for network television. I mean, it was just outstanding.
I watched these 2 episodes, and it's very rare that I watch the previously on Lost. And I watched them this time around, and I'm like, there's no way. If you haven't watched the show all of this stuff they're saying in the previously on Lost will make no sense whatsoever. It was just like a barrage of just scenes from all over, like the last like maybe like 2 or 3 seasons with like Kimi, and I was like, well, there's no way, there's no reason for this previously on Lost to be there. No, if this is your first episode of Lost, you're going to see that previously on Lost and just be like, I don't know why I watched that.
Yeah, these 2 episodes would not be a good place to start.
No.
Watching Lost.
God, no.
What happened? What?
Oh yeah, there's confusing time travel talk, and that's even if you watch the show, there's confusing time travel talk.
Right. And they kind of was that the first? Was that? Well, let's start talking about it. We'll figure it. We'll get to that point. But we'll start with whatever happened. What were your thoughts on this episode?
I want to posit something real quick. Good Kate episode.
Yes.
I think we talked on, like we've said before, like I don't care for the Kate episodes. This one is good. This one's like really honestly, and it part of it I think is tying up loose ends. Kate has something to do. She's not just running for running's sake. She's running to like save a life. It's real. Nice. I really responded well to this Kate episode. I was surprised to like the Kate episode, but I like it.
Was this Evangeline Lilly's best work on the show? This episode, her acting. I think she's a great actress. I think she gets crap because the writers didn't know what to do with her character after a while. Mm-hmm. You know, they kind of put her in that, that love triangle to please the shippers out there. That
even in this episode, there's plenty of Skater and Jader fodder. There's plenty of that for people to gnaw on. I don't know. It's just something about the heroic arc. Like Kate's kind of fearless. Like the thing that happens that you don't expect to have happened is Jack just straight up lets a kid die. Like he's just straight. He's like, nope.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do no harm is out the window.
Huge. I'm not the leader anymore.
Yeah, and like. So Kate has to step it up because otherwise, it's wrong to kill a kid.
So what's good about this Kate episode is that it doesn't rely on any sort of twist or any, like every Kate episode up until this point, you remember how the story ends. She's actually part of the bank robbery. She's, her buddy Tommy or whatever is going to get killed. Like, what's going to happen. This is just more of a character, like a character piece where it doesn't rely on her backstory. It just kind of adds more to her character and where her headspace is. So it's nice that you're not like ahead of the game by rewatching it. So that's nice.
I think the thing that leapt out to me is usually the moral center of any episode is not Kate. And she sort of is the moral center of this episode and of the story of young Ben because, he dies but for her. We find out why he forgets later, like why he forgot that he got shot by Saeed. And if Kate doesn't do any of that, none of that stuff happens. And she's really the driving force. And so I thought to jump in and see it, I'd forgotten it was a Kate episode. And, I was sort of like Jack back in the day when it was a Kate episode. It's like, oh, what's going to happen here? But I was pleasantly pleased to see it and go through it. And I thought, I agree with Jack. I think it's some of her best acting. I don't know if it's the best, but it is some of her best. And to see her be brutally honest with Cassidy, to see her care about somebody that wasn't, she wasn't getting anything out of the relationship. I thought there was a lot of good it brought out in her character.
Jack mentioned, you mentioned Jack, not handsome Jack on the show. You mentioned that he was like going to let a kid die.
Right.
And the reason why he was going to let him die is because he becomes Ben. And what's great about this episode is Jack is the reason he becomes Ben. If Jack would have fixed him, he would have been raised in the Dharma Initiative, and he would have probably grown up like a more stable boy. And it seemed like his dad was really concerned for his well-being in that moment. And
I said, sadly, Roger cares about his kid finally.
Yeah.
Right. and then the kid's taken away, like, and taken to the others. So like by Jack doing this, he's sealing Ben's fate to go on to hate Jack. And it's like it's that roundabout circle where it's like if Jack would have just done the right thing, he had a person to fix. He could have fixed that person. It's the one person he didn't decide to fix turned into Ben Linus.
Does Jack have a point in saying, I've already done this before? Because he has already fixed Ben. He was tortured. He was put in. He says, so I see where Jack is coming. Initially, I was like, this is awful, and he's going to make it worse, and this is really, really bad. But now on my rewatch, I'm like, well, he has a point that, like, I because of Jack is, like, overcoming his need to fix things, I really, like, I can appreciate now that he's just like, no, you know, whatever. Like, Sawyer keeps telling him, don't worry about it. I got it covered. I'm just like, you know what? Like, it's nice to see Jack be zen. I don't know. I tend to prefer this Jack to like this finale, the season's finale Jack, where he's like, now I got to do something again. I'm like, oh, just stay away. Just, you know.
Well, I think Sawyer in the previous episodes, he's reading a book and Jack comes in. What are you going to do about it? He goes, well, looks like you're just reading a book. He goes, well, that's the difference between you and me. He goes, you just react and people die. Because I'm going to think this out. And I think both Locke and Jack are terrible leaders because they react on emotion instead of being logical. That's why I've been saying the whole time the best leader would have been Saeed. Now Sawyer has got rid of Anthony. He killed the real Sawyer, which took that monkey off his back, and over time he became a different person. I mean, he's a completely different person in season 5 than he was in seasons 1 and 2, or even 3. So he's a really good leader, and so would Saeed. But both Jack and Locke are just completely on emotions, and that's what Jack was doing. Like, I've already done it. No, let him die. I don't care.
When I was first watching this, any TV series that were like, for the plot to work, that it relies on memory loss or amnesia is poorly written. I've never seen it done well. I've never liked it. Amnesia, like, this is like the tweet somebody said recently. It's like, man, when I was a kid, I thought quicksand was going to be a real problem to adults, like, growing up. Like, I thought the same. It's that with amnesia. You see amnesia used on these plots in television again and again and again because it's convenient for the writers. This first season of 24 has huge amnesia subplot, and I'm like, so I kind of hate that Ben doesn't remember, that it relies on him not remembering. But I liked it a lot. But I thought I was okay with it a little bit more again on a rewatch, and some time has passed. And really, I think it's the Nestor Carbonell's delivery of the line, he's going to lose his innocence. Like, yeah, he's not going to remember anything, but also from this point forward, he's going to be the Ben that we know. His innocence will be gone. And I guess understanding the causality of what Jack did that caused this just was what I focused on more than just, oh, great, he has memory loss. Okay, that explains it. They're doing a lot of work in a very short time, I think. So from a writing standpoint, I was more forgiving.
Would it have been better if Kate just let Ben die?
I mean, would the world have collapsed? There's a lot of like, what do we think about the Miles Hurley, whole thing?
Conversation.
Hurley's looking at his hand. Great Back to the Future reference. Anytime you reference Back to the Future, do it.
But what's great is that whole conversation is what happened. And they talk about, we've already been in the past. So Jack should know, and he might even know, that Ben's going to survive this. So maybe he's like, oh, he's going to survive it. I don't want to be the one that does it. Not thinking,
I like that, because that's that discussion between Miles and Hugo. Really, Jack is listening to that. They show him kind of like taking that into account. So it really sets him up to make that decision of, I'm not going to help, because clearly he is going. I think Jack takes the line that it's going to be okay no matter what. So he just doesn't want to, like, I think that excuses it a little bit more.
I think Jack is trying to maybe test the island. Like, if I'm the boy's only hope and he's supposed to be alive in the future, let's see what happens, So he's slowly becoming a man of faith, because he starts kind of getting crazy with the island stuff.
Yeah.
He really does.
He does, yeah.
And so it's interesting watching him sort of test the island. Like if he doesn't know why the island brought him here yet.
Right.
And now he's presented again with Ben being sick. And he's like defying the island. He says, no, I'm not going to do it. If you think that's my purpose, I'm going to show you it's not. You fix him. So it's now Jack butting heads with the island. He believes in the island, but he loathes it. He hates that he believes in the island, but he has no other choice.
Well, I think the thing about Jack is, and it may be common for a lot of Jacks that we know, is that when they don't have control, they sort of go crazy. And in this situation, this is, Jack's not the leader. He doesn't have the power. People aren't looking to him to make all the big decisions. And I think he probably is. There's some zen going on. But I think also without him being in a leadership position and not having responsibility, I think in a lot of ways he just wants to wash his hands of it and say to hell with it. If I'm not the leader, I'm not the savior. I mean, that's sort of his personality. That's what him and Locke, I think, have in common. If they're not the focal point and the savior, neither one of them like being in that position.
Right. Well, you even had Horace put Jack in his place when Jack said, "Well, what are we gonna do about this?" And Horace goes, "Who are you?"
Right.
I'm workman. Everything Horace said was spot on, and Jack's like, "Man, I'm really not good at this."
I feel really bad for Hurley, Miles, Juliet, and Sawyer, and Jin, and that gang. Like, they were going great for 3 years. Everything was figured out. They were happy. Well, their lives were perfect. And then these knuckleheads show up and ruin everything.
Well, and how quickly we realize what a precarious situation. Like LaFleur, who is well beloved, and he absolutely
and respected,
beloved, looked up to, just immediately is seen with Kate and Jack randomly and caught, and it's like, what's going on, Jim? Like, what are you doing? And it's super suspicious, and it's like, that man, like, it's such an untenable thread.
Even like Locke and Jack, they were considered leaders, never ever had full support of anybody, and it seems like LaFleur and Julia are like everybody's embraced these guys, love them, and it's like
it's interesting hearing you guys say that, because in my head I'm thinking, LaFleur is the 180 of Sawyer. He's like basically the law, and is domesticated and has a stable relationship, and and he is everything he wasn't before. Like, he went back in time and almost found like his best purpose, and and here comes Danger Kate and Dr. Jack and the rest, and we're off to the wacky hijinks again. So
big shout out to Josh in this episode too, because of his scenes with Kate too. And he tells Kate, "I've changed." He tells Kate, "I'm different." And when he finds out that Kate's been to see Clementine, and they're having that conversation about what his daughter's like, and he talks about why he jumped off the helicopter. This was the perfect time to have this conversation between Kate and Sawyer, after we've seen him like sacrifice himself to jump off the helicopter and all that other stuff. Like, this is the perfect time for that kind of a discussion to happen. And I was so thrilled by both the actors, saying that.
Well, he also wanted to know about Clementine.
Yeah. Look at him taking an active interest in his property.
What he wanted nothing to do with before.
Yeah. He just thought he wouldn't be any good.
Yeah. And he owns up to being a crappy dad and a crappy relationship person. And, like of all the people, he probably made out the best in the past to put behind his demons.
Yeah.
Again, I think once he killed Anthony Cooper, I think he started, it really changed him. And also in this episode, we have Jack, who doesn't care about, young Ben. Sawyer's doing everything he can to save him.
Right.
Even screwing up, even when he goes to get Kate and say, you can't carry him. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Right. That's something where Jack would push Kate aside to do it for her. Like, it just shows you the leadership between Jack and Sawyer actually working with everyone to reach the goal. And
but if this is season 3, there's no way Sawyer does anything to save Ben.
No.
Right.
Nothing.
No.
Right.
I mean, he could. I think if he was to go get back, I think he would be a good father to Clementine now.
Yeah. And it's too bad Ben doesn't remember any of this, because he might have treated Sawyer with a little more respect.
Yeah.
instead of planting in that thing in his chest,
Yeah.
and with the pulse band.
That was so bad.
And remember that Sawyer, he remembers going through that, and he still was out to sea.
Yeah. Well, this is the kid Hitler debate. This is the if you kill Hitler before he kills all those people, is it the right thing to do? What would you do? Because Ben is the show's Hitler. Ben is on the show shown to committing genocide.
Yeah.
I mean, this is that argument, and I still don't know bless Lost, but I don't know where I fall on this debate still. Like, the kid is innocent. You absolutely see that. He's bringing the prisoner sandwiches because he wants his mommy. Like, come on, man.
Eric, don't do it. If you go back in time, the fact that you try to kill him will turn him evil, and that's why he becomes Hitler. Haven't you learned?
Man.
Don't do it.
The Time Guardians. I do love that they very, in a fun character way, explain the pitfalls of trying to change the past under one reckoning of time. Like,
I think certain people, though, in time, like Hitler, maybe Stalin, it's worth taking a chance on killing them. Because
I actually feel the same way. I feel the same way. I think you got to try. But Saeed, were any of you guys surprised? Now, so the last episode ends. I'm sure you talked about it, Jack, in your rewatch. Last episode ends with the gun going off and shooting, and Ben drops. But we don't know if it's like, maybe there was a pocket protector in his pocket or something, and it bounced off or something. We don't know yet, right? So, like, this is the episode where the beginning moments are really when you figure out, was he even really shot to begin with? But I was surprised the gun went off. If we're talking about what you can't change, and we've seen plenty of times on this island, doesn't Jack put a gun to Locke's head and pull the trigger at some point, like right before they got off the island, and the gun doesn't go? The very fact that Saeed was able to shoot Ben now toys with us, I think. I was just so blown away by that.
Is it the island's way? Because we know Ben had a tumor in his spine, on his spine.
Yeah.
And the island was, look what's happened with John. People seem to John has been shot. Everything that's been happening to him on the island. He seems like there's even the scene where Richard comes to him when they're flashing through time, and he's got shot by Ethan.
That's right.
And Richard fixes him, says, "Oh, don't worry. The island will fix you."
Yeah.
The island doesn't seem to fix Ben, even young Ben.
Island doesn't care about Ben. Even when he's got the island in him, he's still like, there's some real weird situation there. But if knowing what we know about the smoke monster, Ben's mother is appearing to him. I think from the get-go, Jacob's brother, the man in black, has had his eyes on Ben. And I think it's because of how invested that guy is in Ben that Jacob just never could find his favor with him, or never interact with him.
That could be. And
I feel like if Ben did die, if Ben did get shot and get killed, we've already learned that if you try to alter history, it'll course correct itself. And so I'm sure whatever they would do to Ben, whether kill him or not, something would happen, or something worse, or something equally evil would come out of
the new Ben.
Yeah, something
weird.
But also you had a child being shot on a network TV show.
It's unbelievable. The stakes have never been higher. Yeah.
And the guy and nobody hated the guy that shot him. Nobody hated Saeed for shooting young Ben. I mean, most shows you shoot it.
I get it.
I remember Jack podcasting about this episode, and the takeaway, because they would do it fairly soon after the episode aired.
It was right after.
I remember the takeaway was like, "Oh my God, did we just see a kid get shot on TV?" I mean, it was pretty shocking, and I mean, it was funny, not knowing the episode I was jumping in. I knew the season, I knew what had happened, but I didn't realize this was the episode immediately after. And like Eric was saying earlier, or maybe it was Ralph. Ralph was talking about watching the previously on. I was like, Oh my God, this is like the episode after the kid gets shot. and you know, it jumps into that, and it was a fairly big deal at the time. And I remember you all having a conversation on your podcast about it, Jack, about how jarring it was to see that. You just didn't expect it.
No, I mean, it was like when The Walking Dead did it. You know, they didn't actually show the child being shot, but we know the child could look at the flowers and boom. But another thing we didn't talk about either was Juliet is working so hard to save young Ben, and she has every reason not to save him either.
She could even take
nobody has a reason to save him.
But nobody. There's so many people in this episode that had every right to just let him die.
And Jack was the only one that didn't help. That's nuts.
That's true. Yeah, that's crazy. But some people think that they don't interfere because time's going to fix itself. Other people think the island's going to make it fine. Other people, so it's not complete dereliction of duty from but yeah, everybody helps in a little way. And Jack is just, the big thing about Jack's decision is the look on Sawyer's face. When he sees that he's not going to get help, he shows up and is like, okay, it's time, Doc. And Jack's like, then he dies. I'm not going to do it. And just the look that these people who they spent 100 days on an island together, and they were quickly on their way towards rekindling, like just falling right back in step. But all of a sudden, Jack has changed. And Jack is not the guy that Sawyer can rely on anymore. And that revelation is just nuts. Like, it's just crazy.
His look was extreme disappointment.
Yeah. And surprise.
Yeah. It's like, really? You, of all people?
The doc do no harm? The doctor's not going to save a life?
Yeah, and I thought Juliet really did well when she comes back into the house and says to him, like, you weren't there for me and you weren't there to help the kid. Like, you know, okay, you have the pissing match with everybody else, but how can you not come help me? You're the only person on this island that can do this. And I thought that was a really effective scene and well acted.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree 100%. But I like how she tells Miles and Hurley, get out.
It's going to resort to screaming or shooting. I don't know. Maybe a place of risk. Just leave.
Yeah, it was Jack didn't come off like he came off as the, you know, Ben's the bad guy. We know Ben's the bad, but Jack came off looking like the bad guy in this episode.
Right.
Yes. That's probably such a really difficult thing to do from a writing standpoint, from a production standpoint, but it works. Jack's the villain in this.
Because even when Jack makes mistakes on the island, he's trying to do it for what he thinks is the right reasons. Except now he just said, screw it, I'm not doing it. And you're like going, it's a kid. Well, it's Ben, but it's a kid.
Yeah, he has some kind of vendetta against the island. He went back here. He felt the urge to go back here, and he doesn't know why.
Yeah. Well, the worst part is, leading up to that, he was working with Ben to get back to the island.
Yeah, I think Jack hated being in that dependent slot with Ben having all the answers, and that gets called out this episode, the next episode too. Doesn't it suck to not have all the answers? Like, yeah, it does. That's the next episode with Ben. But Jack just wants to make a decision that he feels is totally his own. It's a shitty decision, but he just wants to be his own man. He's like, I think he hates how much he needed the island. I think he hates how he was addicted, how much he needed to be back here. Now that he's back, he's like, I'm just.
Could have been the conversation that Jack and Ben had on Flight 316, where he's talking, what about these people in the back here? And they're just going to, and Ben says, who cares?
Who cares? It's so good.
And Jack's just like going, was that just the final straw, or was it just? It's just a crazy. It's like Jack just turned on a dime and just let everybody down.
Yeah, you would think that the people from season 2 or 3, if they were in this situation, Jack would be saying, "What are you all doing? Let's save this kid." And he would, and literally, like, he would have to sneak behind their back to go save this kid, or Kate would help him save the kid.
Do you remember the blood transfusion on the Marshal?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Come on, they're like sharpening bamboo and like trying to get the thing going, and it just unbelievable. Like
how he tried to save Boone and everybody he tried to save.
Right.
And he just said, "Nope, I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
Anyway, poor Jack. I mean, from hero to so quick.
All right.
I loved the recurrence of the actor who plays Roger. I loved seeing him again. I loved seeing young Ben again. The fact they got the same actors as that Ben flashback from seasons ago to be in this season to really flesh out, but you really see a different side to Roger, and it is regret. It is partially because his kid was just shot, but his line with Kate.
He admits it too, though.
What's that?
He admits it too, that he is a bad father.
Yeah. I don't know if that's enough, but it's a start.
No, it's not enough. But.
Yeah.
I was just reminded. I watched Men in Black over the weekend, and in the opening scene, you have Roger Workman and the Marshal in the opening scene of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, John Grease, I think his name is. Roger Workman is driving a van full of illegal aliens. And then he gets pulled over by a marshal or like a sheriff,
God.
and that's the guy who plays the marshal.
Wow.
So as he just said the marshal, I'm like, I just saw him in something. Oh yeah, they're both in the opening scene of Men in Black. Yeah, it's really funny.
Wow, have to go back and watch it just for that.
It'll only take you the first 4 minutes of the movie, and you're good.
There you go. And can we talk about the off island where Kate loses Aaron?
Oh, that scene.
As a parent, that has happened to me, and just the complete. Oh my God! What the it's happened to me at least 3 times. That's how bad. Where they just turn around. Where'd they go? And you're just get one per kid. Actually, one. And
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if it was just your paranoia or the way it was shot. It felt like kind of a dreamy thing. Like when she goes back and talks to the stock boy who's stocking the Gatorade. She's like, "Have you seen my child?" And he's like, "Child?" And it's like almost feels like almost a dream. Like, oh, he wasn't here the whole time, she's super paranoid and running all over the place. And then when she sees the Aaron with the lady,
not
I'm
Claire,
not Claire, and that's the thing is like, is
Fake
this
Claire.
some sort of island projecting on her to make her understand the importance of Aaron and
being with
and the island and being with the mom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we just say something about the stock boy for a second? If you watch it really closely, you can tell he's waiting for her, Evangeline Lilly, to say her line. Or the
I noticed that.
he's like this. He's like, okay. Because if you watch, sometimes you'll see actors that are mouthing. It happens. Harrison Ford in Star Wars is mouthing some of the words, and we're talking about Man in Black. What's his name?
Will Smith.
Will Smith. Will Smith in the first season of Fresh Prince, he's repeating. He's saying the other people's words so he can remember the script. But anyway, you can see it look like going.
Yeah, he's like looking
I
at
know
something.
the small part, but it's a small part. Can we get a better,
I mean, by this time, Lost was huge. He's probably just a guy living in Hawaii, got this part, excited for the role, didn't want to mess it up with super, wanted to make sure he got his cue. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be bashing, but I never.
He did better. He did better than I would have, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
No, and
Jack can tell you that Evangeline Lilly is pretty intimidating. So, I mean, he was probably pretty. I mean, that's a hell of a spot to jump into.
oh, sure.
That's true. Yeah. Plus, you got to remember where the juice boxes are at.
Aisle
Aisle
five?
five.
Yeah, aisle 5. Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the final scene there? I don't remember the last time I watched it thinking that maybe that woman wasn't just innocent. But this time I kind of thought it lingered on her a little too long. The camera did. Like that maybe she really wasn't going to give him back and Kate just happened to catch her. So she did. And when I watched it the first time, I did not think that, but I thought it this time.
Yeah, I think you could be right. It just seemed odd. I mean, she's like, the
whole scene felt odd. Yeah, for sure, felt odd.
It's meant to be that jarring though, because it's also it's a Claire lookalike, who's taking him by the hand, she looks, it's all deliberate. I think.
Yeah,
it was definitely unintentional. But I think you're right, Brian. I don't think she was going to keep. I think she planned on keeping him.
Oh, geez. I'm trying to weigh with on a scene that has such like ramifications, or on an episode that has such a problem with children having happy lives, for Aaron to just straight up get pulled aside. But like the way it's shot to be like a supernatural island thing, he does disappear from the shot in like a clever bit of like little Aaron is there, and then dude, like I don't know how they pulled him out. I'd love to see the behind the scenes on that, but it was good. It was a good camera trick that he was.
They waved a juice box at him. He just. Oh.
It turns out you don't need to block those kinds of things. You can just bait the kid, and the kid will just like immediately find a way to disappear.
You put it on the end of a fishing pole. The kid just running out.
And he did it in record time. Always hit his mark.
He's an actor, but he's only 3. I mean, you don't have to pay him to say, "Hey, here's a box of juice boxes. They're all cold. Fruit punch."
The themes of motherhood. I love the themes of motherhood running through this episode, and even just the admission of the fact that Kate has somebody she can talk to in not Clementine,
Cassidy.
Cassidy, thank you so much. In Cassidy, the idea that Kate needed to, because it's a lie that they're keeping, but you need to tell somebody for your own emotional well-being.
Right.
And I don't remember how many scenes with Cassidy we got. So actually after the first scene, their relationship is like really abrasive. Like, oh, Sawyer didn't give you this money. You gave me this money. And it's very like standoffish. So I'm thrilled that they then cut to like 3 years later when even Clementine is like Auntie Kate. So they clearly have like a relationship now where, and I was so glad to see that develop.
Well, I think it's when Cassidy says to Kate, "It's not yours. Yeah. He's not yours." I think that changed the whole relationship. I think it put down the wall that was between them.
Yeah.
Is it his? No, it's not his.
Yeah. And she responded to the con
yeah.
aspect of that. Like her character is like, well, I've been hurt by cons.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with it. But also with Kate, though, I think I talked about this in a previous rewatch. Raising Aaron changed her. Like Sawyer has changed. Kate has changed. Jack has changed for the worse. So it's because I think Jack had that guilt that he left everybody behind. I think, he was the main guy that he had to push the lie through. He had to keep the lie through. He felt guilty about Jen. Having to work, I think one of you said it, well, having to work with Ben was not something he really wanted to do. And, so yeah, you can see the growth of like Kate and Sawyer that like Jack has gotten. And Hurley never accepted. He never wanted to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Saeed was upset once he ran out of killing people. I think it was on the last episode where he goes, "Wait, there's no one else to kill?"
That's like the reason in episode that he like shoots Ben is because Ben ran out of people for him to kill. Like, he was really upset about that. Ben's like, "Oh, see ya." Yeah.
Well, go on with your life.
Yeah,
but I'm a killer. That's what I do. I kill people. But anything else we want to talk about this episode? We see what's his name, Widmore, right? Medium. Right. We've seen young Widmore. Now we see middle-aged Widmore, I guess. Before we see really old Widmore in the next episode.
Love the casting there. I like the middle-aged Widmore. Yeah, the medium Widmore.
He looked like he reminded me. He had the scarf on, and his hair reminded me of Roland from Tears for Fears. Anyone watching this? Just type in Roland Tears for Fears, and it's a straight up picture of that dude who played Widmore in the middle years.
The power struggle among the others and Richard, and when they say, "What will Charles think?" and he won't like it, and have you talked to Ellie? And Richard's like, "I don't answer to either of them."
Yeah,
he answers to Jacob, and that's about it. So
that's what he tells Widmore. He goes, "What would Jacob wants me to say?"
Yeah.
Have we seen Jack? Have we seen Richard Alpert's flashback by this point?
No, that's season 6.
No, so we don't know that he's been here forever.
No,
that we just keep going on. How does this guy not? I think most people thought he was either a ghost or he was not human in some way.
Yeah. We saw him in Locke's flashback when he goes earlier this season. But we also saw him in, was it Juliet's? Yeah, the Locke one when he didn't age. She was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, during the rewatch, I was like, of course Richard has seniority. He's been here since he came here from the Black Rock. So that's a good thing about the rewatch is knowing, like at this point, it's like that's something that was answered. Is
well, yeah, you had
he's so old.
The scene where they're going and Charlotte, the episode where Charlotte dies, they go to the camp where the Richard's at, and I think it was Sawyer goes, Richard's here, or either that or Locke said it, and Juliet says he's always been here.
Yeah. He's the guy.
Yeah.
I did like.
Go ahead.
Oh, Kate gets to drive the bus. That's cool.
Yeah.
The VW around the island. Like, I'm like, man, Kate's got a lot to do in this episode.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And really just quickly, the scene with Claire's mom. She has a high degree of confidence that if she tells Claire's mom that she has a grandson, that she's going to be able to take Aaron, because she's got to book it out on Ajira 316. Like, good for her. Good for that. Like, that scene was played well because you believe that Aaron's going to be safe, but it could easily have gone the other direction.
I didn't like that she left him alone 2 doors down.
Yeah.
I think I complained about that.
It was a little weird. It was a little weird.
You know, it's still a baby, and fire
especially
happens.
Especially after the scene in the supermarket.
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and also he's 2 doors down. Hopefully that woman from the supermarket didn't follow us and take it. She was looking pretty menacing. I don't know.
We basically uncovered this episode is the least child-friendly episode maybe in the history of television. That's what we've discovered.
Kids get shot, and someone doesn't want to fix the kid.
Yeah. Well, why couldn't she simply just bring Aaron to the room with Claire's mom? I don't understand why you leave the grandmother's not going to say, no, I don't want the kid. She doesn't have her daughter, and this is the closest thing. And it's your grandkid. I mean, I don't care what you say. Your grandkid is your grandkid. It's
just.
So I didn't like Kate in this part. I thought she was.
Yeah. Well, the 2 big moments for Kate are when she tells Cassidy that she tells Claire's mom that she needed him for him, or needed him for her. Because he was mine to do. And then the other reveal with Cassidy earlier is just there's a lot of human moments. The emotions are real. They're running real. You're like, oh yeah, this is a normal, natural thing. Oh, she tells Cassidy I needed him. So she tells Cassidy I needed him, and later she tells Claire's mom he was mine, or that there was some mutual healing that happened there. Kate has definitely grown as a person.
Okay. So overall, do we like the episode? Was it a good episode? Great episode?
Better than I remembered.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Kept the story going. Well, next we have Dead is Dead. And I will say this. I was so frustrated because Locke is he's different. He's been different since he got back to the island. And I think I remember saying it in the podcast. I go, well, if we had this Locke, he would have made a great leader. He's confident. He's not letting Ben manipulate him. He's on fire. He's 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead.
Because he's not Locke.
I know that now.
I know it wouldn't be Locke. It wouldn't be Locke. But here's the thing that the show does really well, I think, in pairing the 70s with the modern day, is Locke changed in the same way Sawyer's changed.
Right.
And can you explain it away? Knowing what we know, it's really hard to. But I think at the time, it was at least plausible that a more confident Locke exists just because he's back and he's alive and he survived death, and that's what nobody can do. And I think that you're meant to suspend disbelief, and I think that I could kind of buy where that was coming from.
Yeah, I'm still mad that I didn't figure it out because
oh god,
they do. They're really clever about it too. In the scene where Ben collapses under the temple, and Locke saying, "Just go ahead," so he can then go into the temple as the smoke, and then as soon as that smoke disappears, Locke is back.
Yeah,
and it's like just so perfect. Like it was there the whole time, and we didn't see it.
Right, it was in plain sight.
Yeah, So good.
I don't remember reading anywhere where someone guessed it.
I'm not. Locke isn't my favorite character, but Man in Black Locke is awesome. It's my favorite version of Locke.
Because he's a different Locke. He
has a focus.
Right.
He knows exactly what he's doing. That's not Locke. Locke is always, looking up to the stars and being like, what do I do next? I doing everything. What do I do? He doesn't like people telling him what to do, but at the same time, he keeps asking a higher power what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So he has literally no focus. And so as soon as he comes back to the island and he's like got the button up shirt and he's got the, the dress shirt and stuff, and he's confident. Yeah. It's like, this is a completely different person. And we find out later it is.
Yeah.
So he's so different that I think what was interesting in watching this episode was he's so different. Ben is taken aback by him. That he's so different that we're not used to seeing Locke confident and Ben be off guard. And when Locke is confident, it throws Ben even more off guard, that Ben is like, who is this I'm dealing with? Because he could always play Locke.
Right. And what's great is it's showing this relationship between the Man in Black and Ben Linus, and just the manipulation. This is where the manipulation starts. This is all the Man in Black wants, is to get Ben Linus to kill his brother. And everything, it starts right on this episode.
Oh yeah. And what Ben wants more than anything is catharsis for his daughter, for what happened with his daughter. And Alex exists to throw him around and say, you have to follow John Locke, swear to me or I'll hunt you down. Yeah. What a mind fuck.
Yeah. And
what a crazy ass thing.
And that's the Man in Black as the smoke monster, as Alex. Her body is on the island so he can inhabit it. And it's just those little things for the writers to come up with that scene and how to make it so you never see Locke, Alex at the same time, or the smoke monster. Like, it's just this cool, like, I don't know. It worked really well.
Well, and the fake out where you think Ben's going to summon the monster and it's going to come to the barracks like it did a couple seasons ago or last season. And then it doesn't. And then Locke is like, well, just me. Let's go find it. We have to go after it. It's like
he's already out.
Yeah, that's
because you think you're thinking, okay, Locke, because I think he comes out. Where's Locke? And Son says he had to go do something. And then when he comes back, like you're saying, he comes back just as Locke, not the smoke monster. And you're like going, that's genius, because how would they explain? Then you can start putting two and two together. Wait,
yeah, exactly.
There, like you were saying, Ralph, they did such a good job in the temple of it being so quick that you didn't really put two and two together. But if they would have done it where he came out through the whole thing and judged Ben there, we went, wait a minute, where was Locke during this?
That's what's great is that Ben says he's there to be judged.
Right.
And because he does that, the Man in Black is like, oh, he wants to be judged. Now he's open to suggestion.
Oh, shit.
And so the Man in Black's like, oh, you want to be judged? Cool. This is the perfect in for me to say, you are wrong. You did this wrong. You have to repent for your sins and do what I say. And then that's it. It's over. Ben is now in the grasp of Mr. Black.
Well, yeah, but it's part of the being judged is the price you pay, and the price he has to pay is to follow Locke.
Right.
Yeah. See, the penitence, the real, like, make it right with the island kind of a thing. And the Man in Black is also Christian Shepherd. So the Man in Black really does have all the answers, and he's influencing Frank and Son, and he's the one who told Son to wait for John Locke. Like, it's just,
Hold on. Something popped in my brain.
Yeah.
So we know that the Man in Black can inhabit dead bodies on the island. Was it the Man in Black in the sweatshop in the sweat lodge as Boone?
Oh.
Was he manipulating Locke back then? Anytime Locke sees Boone.
You know what? You might be right.
Probably.
Yeah, because he kind of has that edge to him where, like, doesn't Boone, he's like, oh, sorry, you fell out of your chair? Pff, that sucks. Or something like that to Locke. Like, oh, that's a shame. But I also, so I think that he's got a sassy edge that like change it. Like you can always tell it's the Man in Black in retrospect.
I can't believe I just referenced further instructions in a positive way. I can't believe I just did that.
That was cool, wasn't it? Well, but to getting back to Locke's character real quick about how it doesn't add up and he's more confident. There was that scene in when he's looking for season 4, is it when he's following them? But he forces Ben's hand to go see Jacob. He's like, let's go see Jacob now. Yeah, Ben's taking me to see Jacob. He tells everybody else. That attitude of like putting Ben in his place and forcing Ben to take him and showing him up in front of his constituents is all in Locke's character back when Locke was getting really desperate and at the end. So I think it is just believable enough that he would be like, I know where we're going here. So there's still that deniability because there were elements of confident Locke that we saw, just never the full package that we're getting now.
Well, the interesting thing about what Locke represents is Ben pretty much knows everybody on the island. So if somebody died, the smoke monster couldn't fake him out. He would know those people died, right? Those are his people. They knew who the Dharma Initiative were. They knew who their people were. It would have had to have only been, the survivors of the crash that could appear to Ben through the smoke monster, or otherwise he would have known it wasn't the real thing. And Locke obviously was the most appealing person because Locke was his foil, not a very worthy foil until he arrives, which is why, as Eric was saying, I think this sort of swaggery Locke throws him and he doesn't question it.
Yeah. One of the great things about that scene with Ben and the smoke monster is through the Echo episode, we learn that the smoke can scan your memories and they pop in the cloud of smoke. Yeah. So it's cool to be able to see the smoke, see what Ben's problems are and shove them back in his face in order to manipulate him. So he's catching all these memories, and the thing that's most on Ben's mind is Alex. And so he uses that and really just goes after him by using her likeness to just
it's the one death that he has caused that he feels guilty about.
Right.
Because we see earlier where he's pushing her on the swing. Push me higher, Daddy. Push me higher. He didn't shoot her. When him and Ethan went to go kill Rousseau, he didn't know there was a baby there, and he came back. He's like,
Wait, that was Ethan?
Yeah, it was Ethan.
Yeah, it was Ethan.
I don't think I caught that.
The one thing that bothered me, I noticed it this time when the smoke monster is showing him his own memories in the cloud. The vision of him pushing Alex on the swing is from the camera's perspective, not from Ben's viewpoint. Yeah, because it's where the camera. Because that flashback was done in this episode as well, or the one right before it. And I'm just like, they couldn't have done a version of that scene from Ben's perspective, so then the smoke monster could play that back. Like it was a minor nitpick, but. It bothered me just a little bit.
The smoke monster could have been watching him the whole time. And that's literally
hanging out right by the white picket fence, just chilling.
Yeah. It's was that Wilson from Home Improvement?
Oh yeah, howdy neighbor.
Maybe he was one of the guys the Dharma guys. I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's not worth any further ado. But just a thing I noticed. But yeah, it's superb the way that Man in Black manipulates Ben throughout this episode, and that whole Rousseau stuff, like it really, I was so grateful to finally get a resolution to the "I'ma kill your daughter." The island wants to kill your daughter. Nobody wants, like, whose daughter? What does this island have against children? First of all this time, to finally get a resolution to what happened with Desmond, and I know it was like really really short. But the whole Penny thing amid the whole Danielle stuff was really, really good.
Now, was the flashback to show us why he didn't kill Penny? Because he did care about Alex at one point. I mean, he did love her. I mean, as a child, he loved that was his daughter. Because he stands up to not Richard Whitmore. He goes, "You kill her then."
Yeah.
I think we've seen throughout the episode, like children sort of is where he draws the line. That when he's ordered to go kill Rousseau and kill the baby, and he tells Rousseau to run off, when he takes the baby back, and Whitmore goes, "Why didn't you kill the baby?" And the baby's not, well, you do it if you want to do it. Like the baby's not supposed to die. you know, and I think the way he handled that situation, I see what Drake said.
Children are pretty terrible.
Children are pretty terrible. That's a very Drakeism.
Children are our future.
Chris, you were a child.
We're all children.
Wow, that's that comment goes with these episodes, doesn't it? Really, it sort of fits right in. But I was gonna say that the way that he handled the baby, Alex, he says like, well, why don't you do it? Like, I'm not gonna do it. I don't get that. He sort of uses that approach when Kimi kills her too. Like, right. He sort of says, I'm not going to do anything. I don't care. And that's worked for him before, but then it didn't. Yeah. And I think that when he sees the child, that resonates too strongly with him. And that's, part of coloring these characters. The last episode and this episode reminded me of how well this story makes the bad guys a little less bad in a good way and the good guys a little less good in a good way. And it really fleshed out the characters. And so I love that about it. And I think we don't like Ben, but sometimes we understand him. And that's great storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also get to see why he showed up to the airport with a beat up face.
What the hell? That was like the last puzzle piece, man. And he kept saying that he did awful things, and you just expect him to have probably killed Penny, probably completed what he said he was going to do. And what does that mean for Desmond?
He shot the milk.
Instead, he shot the milk. Yeah. But I think it was Charlie. I think it was the name shout out because Penny calls her son's name twice. And it's after the second time that he puts the gun down. And I think it's the recognition that that's a very human thing to do, is name your kid after somebody that you knew, but it was somebody that she didn't know. Desmond knew him on the island as a result of the hell that Ben put them through. And so I think it's Ben's own guilt in causing Charlie's death, not to aggrandize it, but I think that there's some guilt there that plays really subtly into Ben's decision-making process, where the tribute of naming your son after somebody that Ben had killed or somebody who died under Ben's watch is really, really crucial in why he puts the gun down.
Almost like seeing a ghost.
Yeah, just like that.
Well, Ben had ordered them to kill Charlie, so
yeah. Well, yeah.
I just realized something. Another thing popped into my head right now. That was Penny's boat.
That was Penny's boat.
It was Penny's boat. Finally, there it is. We saw it.
I'm staring at our mutual friend right now.
Here's my complaint about the whole thing about Widmore. Widmore has more money than anybody, right? He can drink McCutcheon's whiskey, not think twice about it. If you knew that someone was going to kill your daughter and had threatened to kill your daughter, wouldn't you have hire people just to be in the next boat or to be following her around and different? You could have an army protecting her,
especially with Desmond around.
Right. Yeah. And so I never understood why, if he really cared about his daughter,
right?
They were hiding from him,
and he knows Ben. I know they're hiding from him. He could find her.
He couldn't find the island for 20 years. I really want to talk about that, actually. In this episode, we found with the argument between Ben and Charles, and it doesn't add up to me, but Charles had a child with somebody off island, poor Ellie, right? And that gets him banished. Although in a previous episode, I think the one where they visit in London, because Allendale was doing a play, Charles says, "You tricked me off the island," or something. So the little bit of inconsistency there. But Charles was coming and going to the island for however many years it took him to rise to prominence, become a millionaire, and father a child, or at least, start that process. And now all of a sudden he gets banned, presumably for having a kid out of the island. But now he can't find the island. He can't come.
He can't find the island because it's moved. The island is the island.
It's always moving.
The first time he finds the island is when Desmond doesn't press the button and the Swan Station implodes. That's when we get the ping and we get the call to Penny, and that all kind of happens. He had a falling out with Ellie. I think that's her name. Ellie, the Faraday?
Eloise.
Eloise, yeah.
Eloise.
She goes
So they
by
have a
Ellie.
falling out, and she's in charge of the lighthouse. She's the one she's like the only one that knows where the island is.
Yeah.
So by them having that fallout, he can't find the island. So he has to do a different means of trying to find the island, which is that huge electromagnetic pulse when Desmond turned the failsafe.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got that, he's like, boom, finally we found it. He sends off Kimi and the rest of the freighter folks there. Like he's been looking, but Eloise has been able to somehow keep him out of the lighthouse station.
Well, why wasn't he on the freighter then? Why didn't he go with them on the freighter?
It's a coward.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Well, he wanted to get Ben out of the way so that he wouldn't get his own hands like dirty. Like once Ben was taken out, Charles's whole goal, he says, is to get it. It will be mine again. He wants to get back to the island, but I think sending
military in first.
yeah, it's kind of a smart idea, I guess. But Charles has to know the secrets of the universe by now. I mean, he was in charge of the island. He wasn't just a regular inhabitant. He was in charge of the hostels.
But the problem is he wasn't a scientist. He was a military guy. So that's probably also why he sent scientists along with the army, because he may know these things about the island, but I don't think he's smart enough to get there. Like Daniel Faraday and Eloise, I think are smart enough to be able to track the island. Charles is not smart enough to track the island.
He clearly wasn't getting there via sub, because during the time when he was going off the island and having a kid, it was when the Dharma folk were still there. So he had some other means to leave and then come back to the island, presumably to find a bearing, all that stuff. I mean, for years he's been leaving, but how? So I think there's another mechanism that we just don't know about. That also, once he fell out of the island's favor and was banished, it legit made itself just closed off to him.
I think that's it. I think the key is that once you're not favored, you can't find the island, and I think it sort of shut its radar off to Widmore, and Widmore couldn't get back there.
Because Ben says he broke the rule. Ben says, I broke the rules in coming back, which is like when you turn the donkey wheel, you're not allowed to come back. That's what he told me.
Were there other ways? Were there other ways off the? Because I'm not a big believer in the sub being how to get on and off the island. But is there other ways to get off the island we never found out? Was there ways you could just go through a portal?
You had to go through a certain bearing. I know that.
Yeah. Was there just another? Was there just a way to get off the island without having to go to Tunisia and not be able to come back and all that different stuff?
Yeah. The Hydra station. Well, the problem with that too is that, or not Hydra. What's the time travel one?
Oh,
Hydra, right?
Oh, it is. I keep thinking. No, Hydra's the animal cages.
It's the
orchid.
Orchid.
Okay, so that's the same word in my head.
I know it was a plant.
In my head, Hydra and orchid is the same.
I'm surprised after all these years we're able to remember this stuff.
I know. Anyway, but with that, there's time loss. You lose a couple months.
Doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah. Widmore had an effective way of getting off the island that wasn't the Dharma sub. Maybe it was the Looking Glass. Oh no, he has that because there's a Dharma station. I don't know. I get confused.
Well, how did Widmore lose control of the island to Ben?
Ben just got him.
Oh no,
Ben got him in trouble for sleeping around, right?
I don't know.
But how did Ben, who wasn't in control, how was he able to get the evidence? How was he able to? Widmore could just
a power shift. I think there was a power shift when Ben killed the Dharma Initiative with the gas, the Great Purge, and then he opened his arm and welcomed the rest of them. He became the guy. I don't know I feel like Richard Alpert maybe even became second in command to Ben.
Yeah, and when he threatens Charles to kill Alex and is like, "You do it," then that's in front of everybody too. So again, he's challenging his not his power, he's challenging his virtue, really. Right. And it's like whether Jacob is actually is that what Jacob wanted or is that what you wanted? Whole thing. And I think Richard really sees something in Ben, some potential there to be a little bit more righteous than what Widmore was doing. So Richard probably with the assist on getting Widmore thrown out.
did maybe Whitmore lost it because he wanted the island for personal gain, and not for the, to say he didn't want to protect the island. He wanted it to make, because he's a rich guy. Maybe he just wanted to make money off it.
Right.
Make amusement park. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe the island had a hand in him being pushed out also.
Yeah.
But I don't think the island would want Ben because it never tried to save Ben.
Yeah, that's the weird part. Is like there's just even at the end of the series, there's just a blank period in time where Ben wrestles control from Widmore. I still want to know what happened to Annie. I still want to know like what part that played in Ben's development. But yeah,
Annie's either Kate's mom or the woman that was helping, that owned the meat shop, the butcher shop that helped get Locke back to the island.
Got it. Okay. But yeah, there's it's nice that there's still like a window of time where we don't know exactly how things happen, but we're asked.
Could this be something if they reboot it that they talk about it?
Is there talk about rebooting Lost?
Yeah,
really.
It's gonna.
I don't need a reboot. Like I've said this so many more times. Lega sequel, which is where you bring in some of the old people and then introduce a whole new cast. I still want the Lost babies. I want your Clementines and your Aarons and Gions.
Why do you want to kill all the babies?
No, under Hurley, there's no drama, so it'd actually be a children's TV series called Mystery Island with Hurley. When he's, there's not going to be any drama. I mean, Ben is there, but he's like a changed Ben, so it's okay.
The kids are to believe he's a changed Ben.
Yeah.
Well, the kids. Hurley dresses the kids up as Ewoks, right? And then, he didn't like Ewoks, so he'd probably have them killed off. There you go.
I believe he said Ewoks suck.
Yeah. So the kids would be killed off again.
That is a false. That is a false statement. Oh wait, hold on, guys. I got a phone call to make. Hello. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ewoks are cool. All right, cool. I thought they were cool. Yeah, no, they're great. Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the little bears.
While we're showing off props real quick, I
want
want
to. I mean, come on.
It's amazing. What is this? I love that.
It says hello, Wicked.
I wish I had one.
Hello, Wicked. Is the ring anything special? Is the ring like an Ewok sound?
The voice box is damaged, so I need to replace it.
Oh, man. I know what it was. I know I wanted to. So I was on the season 5 premiere episode, and I forgot to actually show you guys. So I got the it's the time loop Shotgun Willie. We're skipping on a record. Ain't got nothing to say, so it's super cool.
Don't ding his account.
Don't ding. Yeah.
They're gonna pull us for playing.
You can go 30 seconds without them having to.
Yeah, they said that until me and Jay got booted off of YouTube last week.
Well, that was Disney.
I apologize in advance for any.
Disney.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Disney doesn't watch this show.
They probably don't.
You probably don't. Probably.
Well, that's their algorithms do.
Well, last week in another YouTube channel I used actual clips from the show, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to post this." And I go, "If it gets dinged, it gets dinged." Nothing yet, so it squeaked through. So
there's still a lot of craftsmanship to what Ben does. The whole setup with Caesar and his gun. Can we talk about how Ben just flat out shoots the hell out of Caesar with a shotgun at close range?
What I love about that.
The shotgun he stole.
What I love about that is the Man in Black being like, okay, this dude's willing to kill for me, so he's my go-to guy. I need to seal this deal, get this murderer on my side, and we're good to go against Jacob.
I love that. That's insane because it's such a clever. Ben's deception is clever, but Ben is doing it to win over Locke, who he thinks doesn't trust him, and being like, so it's a con in a con. It's
the long con. It's making them think that they want to do it. It's their idea to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just so that exchange was so shocking.
The show's so much better than it gets credit for by, basic viewers who are casual, viewers. There's so many layers on this show, and just
I think
being able to pick up on this stuff years later.
I think we all thought too at the time Caesar was going to be a bigger character. We saw him on Flight 316. He was the guy saying, "I'm in charge here." Even Alana was, he was butting heads with Alana. All of a sudden, boom, he's gone.
I think he was supposed to be a bigger character. Did he
get a DUI? Is that what happened?
Was it?
No.
As so many Lost actors did.
I might have insider information.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, from what I understand, he didn't want to be on the show.
Text
anymore.
me and I'll say it.
No, I said it. From what I understood, the actor didn't want to be on the show. But still, it's great because you assume he would last longer. So it was a great, shocking moment.
Yeah.
And it's one of those moments where you're like, okay, he's gone. Like that dude got blown like 5 feet behind him with the shotgun.
The most jarring thing is then the episode then switches to being like Jacob's disciples or the crazy cult group that's barring up. Like that came out of nowhere. That could have absolutely been a little bit like slower of a rise, I felt. Yeah,
but it's fun. It's fun. It plants those seeds on who these guys are because they're like, do you know who lies in the shadow of the statue? I'm like, ooh.
How is Frank supposed to know this?
Frank's like, I don't know. I'm just a pilot. I was supposed to be going
to Fahey. Jeff Fahey is like the best addition to the show.
He's the best.
In like after like the starting at third season on. Like with Desmond was great in season 2. He was like shining there, but since then, like Frank is the best. I love Frank. He has the best lines.
Nobody hates Frank.
No.
Everybody hates Hugo.
Yeah, exactly. Poor Hugo.
Everyone loves Hurley.
But not Hugo. Right. What was I going to say? But what I liked about it is Ben had set up Caesar ahead of time. He goes, "You got my back. I got your back. Don't worry." Yeah. And 2 weeks later, Caesar's laying there in a puddle of blood on the sand.
Yeah, he's looking through his bag, and Ben says, "You looking for this?"
Yeah.
Boom. Man, that's so good.
Nuts.
Great scene. So we lose Caesar. Alana hits for I was going to say Fahey. He hits Frank. But Frank doesn't knock out. He's one of the few people on the island that gets hit once and doesn't get knocked out.
Right.
Because you see, Frank can take a punch.
He decides to not pursue. He's still awake and conscious, and he's like, never mind.
I mean, how many times do you see someone get hit one time? Every TV show they hit him. Just
screen goes to black.
Yeah, they know exactly where to hit him on the back of the head. They've had not Frank. He gets hit and it's like, man, what the hell?
He's got a thick layer of booze blocking his brain.
The whole smoke monster thing, using the form of Alex to manipulate Ben and threaten violence against Ben, getting back to that real quickly, reminds me a lot of Echo and Yemi, where the smoke monster as Yemi is like ends up weird interaction right before they die, and I wish it had made more sense in retrospect. But there's so many elements amid all that's new. There's all this old school stuff of like family members, like threatening violence and just being like real smoke monstery people right before their death. It just there's so many connections back to previous seasons that it still feels like Lost. No matter what they do, it still feels like there's some they always are reinventing and changing the show. But there's still these elements that they peppered in early that they recreate and bring back, and it really works really well.
There was a scene between Sun and Ben where Ben asked where Locke was. He had something to do, and she goes, and then she goes, "Well, what do you mean he was dead or something?" Like he was dead.
Yeah.
Because he say because I killed him or I saw him dead or something like that.
I'm pretty sure he says.
He doesn't say he killed him. She says, "Well, how do you know?" or something. And he goes, "He was dead." Like he says without saying, "I was there and I know he was dead."
Because it's one point where Ben's actually being 100% honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as him being dead, he doesn't go, he says, I don't know how he's alive. And I think he's telling the truth. He doesn't know how Locke is alive.
And Sun doesn't trust Locke for a couple of seasons now, which is good.
Right.
She's just that little seeds of like, I don't really like this guy. And when Ben levels with her, like, and he's like, dead is dead. You don't get to come back from that even here. He's planting enough doubt in her mind that she's going to be able to, that'll grow within her, and hopefully she'll be able to lead some castaways away from Locke in the future.
You gonna say something, Ralph?
No.
Okay. I thought you
I was going to say something that my brain said, no, that's not how it went down. So I luckily fact checked my own brain before committing to my
nice.
mouth.
I do like that when Ben calls Widmore, he's going to tell him, I'm going to kill your daughter and all that stuff, that he does tell, and I'm going back to the island. Neener, I'm going back to the island.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can't go back. I found a loophole.
He shouldn't have, whatever Widmore did to lose Eloise in the lamppost station, he should never have done that. He should have just...
No. Well, he's arrogant, and you see him arrogant when he's a teenager or young. When you get middle-aged or middle Widmore, he's arrogant. He's just an arrogant guy. So, and eventually, people like that, when you don't have any use for him anymore, you want to kick him to the curb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say using people, but that's...
Yeah, I like how you see both Ben and Charles using the island as a scapegoat of like, oh, the island wants this. It's in the same episode, like protecting. I was protecting the island, and every decision I've made is about the island. And Ben uses that same line all the time. Like Ben clearly learned a lot from Charles Widmore.
Yeah.
He's just a hell of a lot smarter and more manipulative, better at that than Widmore.
Yeah.
Now, when they go in the temple, when Ben goes in the temple, was it Locke that talked to Sun? If we don't come out, it was something.
Oh, I forget.
I wrote down, but I can't find my notes on it.
The whole shock about this is just the temple wall. This isn't the temple, and also we're not even going to your temple, Ben. We're going under it. That was amazing. Like, way to pull the rug out from under. It's like what, under the temple? So even when we see the temple, we've already been underneath it before. That's just awesome.
Yeah. And it's Locke completely manipulating the situation.
Right. Mm-hmm. But how does a giant wall hide? If you see a giant wall, you're going to try and climb over.
I know, that's, yeah.
It's like we built this to hide it. Well, that's not hiding it.
It's making it bigger, if anything.
You put some trees and ivy around it. Maybe that'll bind.
I mean, Locke is going to say whatever BS he's going to say to get Ben to go underneath.
But he tells Sun something, and I wish I had wrote it down.
Well, Ben says that they were never, people like you were never supposed to see this place. He says to her that the real temple's like half a mile in or something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I don't know. I wish I just can't. There's a great line. I think I just forgot to write it down. Anyway, anything else in this episode we want to talk about? We want to talk about what Chris Drake keeps saying in the chat.
Children are awful. Is that on repeat?
No.
Children really suck, you guys.
He did say that Frank is drunk and used to hitting his head. That's why he can take a shot.
Oh, wow. Man, Frank Lapidus is awesome. I'll never forget where I was when I first saw. I mean, that whole calling the hotline and saying this is a huge scandal. Like, I was supposed to be on that. These guys are high school sweet. I loved the character from day one.
Yeah.
He must have been on Jacob's list. There's a reason why he showed up to the island, and as soon as the smoke monster was supposed to go after Frank Lapidus, it wasn't him, so he was able to cross him off, take care of the pilot.
Something about it.
Yeah.
Well, the pilot could be on the list, right? Because that's why they could kill him.
Yeah, and so as soon as the smoke monster saw that the pilot wasn't on Jacob's list, he took care of him.
He went to the old wash method. Firefly, just the branch through the cockpit, through the body. Sorry if that raises a sad memory for people.
No, I'm good.
It happened. But overall, do we like this episode? Which one was Dead or Dead better than the What Happens?
I like them both. Season 5 is my favorite season of the show. I like the time travel elements. I like that we get to, not only do we get the answers to the things, but we travel to points in time where we get to see those questions be answered. We get to see Dharma Initiative fully functioning in the 70s. We get to see Widmore and Jughead and those group in World War II. We get to see like all these different versions. We get to see Danielle Rousseau show up on the island. We get to see the Black Rock. We get to see all these things happen in front of us instead of just, hearing stories. So this season where it skips around in time is my favorite season. Plus we get the best version of Sawyer. I love his relationship with Juliet. We get the best version, my favorite version of Locke, which is Man in Black Locke.
Which is saying something about Locke, yeah.
And we just get like everyone's in like top form. Like this season feels like we're heading to something special. Like this is so good. So both episodes, I loved them, especially because they're in season 5.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think season 5 still is great. I'm really looking forward to rewatching the next couple episodes because I forget how it ends. I feel like the Dharma stuff is great. While it's great for me, I'm like the incident tying with the Losties was too convenient and all that stuff. But I'm willing to reassess it and rewatch it, so I'm excited.
I love this episode. I love these episodes both. One's more character centric, and one is sort of more of the mysteries, but has characters in it. And right. I think season 5 did the real callback to season 1, where there was a real combination of mystery and character, because we're getting answers, but there's still a lot of weird stuff happening that we're not sure what's going on. So, I mean, watching, like I said earlier, I watched these episodes. I watched 2 more, seeing it jumping in the middle, and even seeing the new additions, like the next couple episodes, we see Miles, we see Faraday.
Spoiler.
Hey, I'm not going to talk about what happened in the episode. Characters. But seeing the combination of the others, seeing the Dharma Initiative people that we all waited to see, it's just really great. And I thought these 2 episodes were great. So I really enjoyed it. I think it was 2 of the better episodes of that season, and really glad I got to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Definitely fun episodes. Before we go, where can people find you? I know that Brian, you can be found in LA, right?
I can be found where?
In Los Angeles? Yeah,
I can be found. If you want to be one of the 5 people that come to my team's games, I run the LA Chargers.
That never gets old. I enjoy. But anyway, you want to give out you want people to follow you on Twitter or anything like that?
If you look me up, you'll find me.
Okay, Eric.
I just started a new podcast called Thank You for Spieling. You can find it over on my Twitter at Spielerman, SPIELERMAN. That just started a couple weeks back. We've had a few episodes about COVID. One is psychologists analyzing it, why people aren't wearing masks, and another one is about antibodies and science. So really cool stuff, like stuff I usually talk about Harry Potter, so this is well out of my wheelhouse, but I'm learning to be a listener as well as a host, so that's an exciting thing for me.
Question for you. Could Harry Potter develop a spell to eliminate COVID?
No, but they would do the bubble head charm, which just does like a protective. It would be better than a mask because you could like breathe,
Because I never understood why he didn't correct his vision, so he didn't have to wear glasses.
It's a delicate procedure. You need a good wizard to do it. Dumbledore could have done it, but otherwise, it's your
that's
eye.
The first thing. Because if I get 2020 again, I'd be like, hocus pocus, whatever.
Yeah.
And one thing that calls to mind, Eric, is I think one of the things we feel bad about young Ben is he kind of looks like a young Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
think and I think that was on your mind, my mind too. You know, it's like we're used to thinking of this kid who's got so much potential as like, I don't know. Yeah, his innocence really stuck with me because of that.
And I meant to have him on the show. I meant to ask. I know his mom, and I flat out forgot. I've met him a few times, but I flat out forgot to, because these episodes came so fast. I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap! I meant to. Oh well.
Does he come back? Do we see Young Ben again?
I don't think so. I think we're done with Young Ben.
We see Roger again, right? Doesn't he flip out on Kate for being weird around?
I think I maybe when she comes back.
Oh, I seem to recall that. Again, the next couple episodes are like the ones I remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you guys are weird.
He probably had some Dharma beer or something like that.
Yeah.
And Ralph, where can people find you in the Ewok?
Yeah, call us at Casino Skunk.
Operators are standing by.
Yes. What else does Disney have to do, right?
Right.
I heard rumors that Disneyland was going to move to Texas.
Sure.
It was
Sure.
I think something going around on Twitter. I said
I can already see the trailer. The most magical place on earth just got a whole lot bigger.
Did you find that? Did you find that on DAnon?
I said I went
Disneyland conspiracy page.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know, but I saw it. I go, yeah, that's going to happen. They're gonna move Disney. Disneyland may never open again, but they'll never move it.
I forgot that COVID's been solved in Texas. That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was walking around the other day, and I hate to get off topic here, but I go, oh, COVID must have been cured here in North Carolina because so many people don't have their mask on, but that's okay.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't want to get in that whole COVID thing. Anyway, thanks, guys. This was a great talk, and definitely have you guys back again. This was a lot of fun. That's all I got.
Yeah,
thanks
nice
for
to meet you guys.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jack.
Thanks. Hasta luego and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.